Yeah. So very good afternoon, everyone. So I'm going to talk on predictive analytics. So this is the agenda of my presentation: overview of predictive analytics. And then if you look predictive analytics, there are two techniques. One is classification, another one is a prediction. So we are going to discuss what is classification and how it is used, and we'll also talk about a prediction. And in the predictive analytics, once the model is built, the performance of the model to be measured. So there are various measures available to check the performance of the prediction model. So we'll also talk about these measures. Right. So why we have to talk about this predictive analytics? Why we all you people have to spend this afternoon to learn this predictive analytics? So you know that the oil is the important factors to decide the economic of the world, right? But today, the data is the new oil. Data plays a major role. That's why people used to say that data is the new oil. And in all the applications, you are trying to develop a prediction model. So I have given some cartoons here. You can see, sweetheart, my neural network predicts that you and I are 98.9% compatible. Will you be my Valentine? So we can also develop a prediction model for such a case. So you can use this prediction model in any application. Only thing is you need a data. So data is the new oil. When you talk about this data analytics, uh, there are two types of data analytics. One is predictive data analytics. Another one is descriptive data analytics. I hope you know that. I hope you people may know about this machine learning. Right. So in the machine learning, you have three categories: supervised learning, unsupervised learning, reinforcement learning. And but people talk much about supervised learning and unsupervised learning. And now only after this emergence of deep learning, now people are talking about reinforcement learning also. So when you look this machine learning is classified into supervised and unsupervised. So in supervised learning, you will be having training data, and you will use this training data where we'll have the class label that is used to develop your model. In unsupervised learning, the machine, what is machine learning? Machine is going to learn from the data. It's going to react according to that. Okay. So in the supervised learning, you'll be giving some training data to build the model, and then the model will be tested, the testing data, and then the model will be used to analyze new data set. That is supervised learning. And in unsupervised learning, you are not going to supply any training data or class label. The machine is going to learn, and it's going to analyze the data based on some characteristics. Okay, that's called as unsupervised learning. So you don't have any training data or class label. Okay, so supervised learning is called as predictive analytics, and unsupervised learning is called as descriptive analytics when you come to data analytics. So in machine learning, you used to say supervised, but when you come to data analytics, which is called as predictive analytics, and unsupervised learning is called as descriptive analytics. So when you look this predictive analytics, there are two. One is classification and prediction. And when you talk about the descriptive analytics, there are many: clustering analysis, association rule mining, or frequent pattern mining, and sequence discovery, and so on. So this is a diagram which shows the various phases in data analytics, right? So if you have a data, and then you can apply, you can say data analytics or data mining or data science or data analytics or machine learning, anything you can say, because each topic has a correlation. Okay. Here, what is happening? You can see from this diagram, the data are not in single place. The data are collected from various sources, right? So when you do any research or any project, when you search for the data, you may not get the data in the required form, right? So you have to convert the data from one format to another format, right? So you need some techniques. So the data pre-processing plays a major role. What it does, it pre-processes the data. Okay. So the data pre-processing has four steps: data cleansing, data transformation, data integration, data reduction. What is data cleansing? You know that the data are collected from various sources and through various instruments or devices or by human being. But when you collect the data are not in the good form. Okay, or you can say that the data are dirty. And you can say that data are dirty if the data has incomplete or missing values or noisy or redundant. Then you can say that data is dirty data. So you have to remove such a dirty from the data. For that, you need a data preprocessing. So data cleansing is mainly used to handle incomplete data or missing values from your data set. And data transformation is nothing but converting one form of data into another form of data, right? And data integration is nothing but collecting data from various sources and storing in single place. And data reduction is nothing but reducing your data size, okay, with respect to column or row. Okay, that's called as data reduction, or you can call it as feature selection. So these are the four important techniques you will be doing knowingly or unknowingly in your project or in your research. Okay, so the data pre-processing plays a crucial role. It prepares the data. Okay, first of all, the aim of the data pre-processing is it prepares a quality data. Okay, so that this data is supplied to your data mining engine or data analytic engine. Then the data analytics will analyze the data and it will discover the pattern. Okay, so that is the importance of this diagram. So if you look this diagram, the data pre-processing plays a crucial role, right? Then once the data is pre-processed, you can apply any one of this data analytics, whether predictive data analytics or descriptive data analytics. So here you can see that two techniques, prediction and classification, is circled. Okay, because these two techniques are called as a predictive analytics. So when you look this predictive analytics, it is used in many places. So what is predictive analytics? How you can define this? What is the proper term to define this PDA? Shortly, I can call it as predictive data analytics. So the predictive data analytics is the use of data. You'll be using the data and you'll use some statistical algorithm and machine learning techniques to identify the likelihood of future outcomes based on historical data. So something which is unknown to us, right? So you want to predict what it is, what will be it is. Okay. So we want to determine what is going to happen. Okay. For example, whether there will be a heavy rain in Mangalore or not. So you want to predict it, right? For that, we can develop a prediction model. Okay. Once if you have the data, like the past 1 year meteorological data, if we have, then it is possible that to develop a prediction model. Okay, so you can also say like this: what has happened to providing a best assessment of what will happen in the future. It means you are going to have some set of training data, like the past 2 years meteorological data. By using that, you are going to develop a model. The model is going to predict whether there will be rain or not in the Mangaluru tomorrow. Right? That is the job of predictive analytics. That's why there are many research group is focusing on predictive analytics. Right? So predictive analytics plays a major role in the research community in the field of data analytics and data science. Predictive analytics is used in many applications. Wherever you have the training data with the class table, then you can think of applying this predictive analytics. Okay, like forecasting and NLP. Okay, NLP people are there is a separate research group for this NLP. Even I too work on a text classification, text analytics, right? And then medical diagnosis. Even many people are now currently working on developing prediction model for COVID-19, right? If there are a lot of data is available now, so people are developing some predictions. Even we can see a lot of graphs are plotted. All it depends based using this predictive analytics only, right? And predicting stock market behavior and image processing. Like I'm doing one project with the ISRO, okay, where we are using real time, remote sensing images. Here we are developing some applications like crop field applications is the one project, and another project is how to identify the real targets okay, by using motor data, or that you are using this predictive analytics, and then predicting consumer purchasing behaviors. So these are the various applications, right? So predictive analytics is used in many applications. So when you talk about this predictive analytics, there are two. One is classification models, another one is regression model. So what is classification? What is prediction? Classification, which predicts categorical class label. You can say discrete or nominal. Prediction used to model continuous valid function. If I say like this, people may get it may be unclear. I'll give you one example. Let us say most of them are faculty. So let us assume that there is a data. It's called a student data. We have student number, student name, and then quiz mark, assignment mark, then the internal marks, and then you want to finalize the grade. So the job is to finalize the grade. Okay. So you have here we have some grade also. Let us assume that you computed some grade also. Now you want to classify them. You want to classify the student as excellent student, good student, average student. Now you have student number, student name, this mark, assignment mark, internal mark. Based on that, you have computed the grade. Grade also available. Now tell me which attribute is used for classification. So in this case, the class attribute, that is the grade attribute, is mainly used for the classification, right? If the student secured as grade, then you can say that the student belongs to excellent class. If the student secured a grade, then we can say that the student belongs to good class. And if the student secured some C grade, then you can say that the student belongs to average class. So the attribute grade is used to classify your data. Right now, here the attribute name is grade, which has values, right? S, A, B. So here the values are categorical, it's not numerical, right? So if we have such a categorical values, then you can go for classification. And you must know that data is represented in the form of information table. I given example already, a student example, where you have student number, student name, and then you have the quiz mark, assignment mark, and grade. Now,
Excuse me, sir.
yes,
Sir, we are not able to see the. We are only able to see your first slide.
is it so?
Yeah, it's not in the presentation mode, I think.
1 minute.
Okay, sir.
Now, are you able to see the classification and prediction?
Yes, sir. We are able to see now.
Okay, you should inform me, madam. Please kindly inform if it is not visible.
Okay, sir.
Okay, right. So now you are able to see this classification and prediction, right?
Yes, sir.
Yes, madam.
No.
Please check whether I am moving slides, whether are you able to see. Yes,
Hello, sir.
I'm moving slide. Are you able
Sir,
to see
could you
that?
kindly say, sir? Yes, sir. You are able to see the slide, sir. Sir, can you switch to presentation mode, slideshow mode?
Yes. See now, is it moving?
No, sir.
That's a problem. If I go to the presentation mode, it's not moving. See? Now I am in classification versus prediction. Are you able to see that?
No, sir. You are in classification method slide for us.
Okay. I don't know what is the problem. 1 minute.
Sir, this is PPT. Venkatesh,
Yes.
sir.
Yes.
Sir, could you kindly press F5 button on your system, on your laptop? F5 button.
Yes.
And
Now?
can you see? Sir, now can you change the? No, it is not, sir. It is not in the slideshow mode for us.
1 minute, madam. 1 minute. I'll present once again.
Yes, sir.
Now you see.
So your slide is visible, sir.
Visible? Is it moving?
Sir, can you make it into the presentation mode, please?
I am in presentation mode only.
No,
I
no,
only-
sir. You're in only PPT mode. So we want you to move to slideshow mode.
Just
Sir,
a
if
minute,
you
madam.
see in your own menu, there is something called a slideshow. In your screen only, which is visible, slideshow, top, home.
I'm not able to. Now I'm not able to share the PPT alone. Wait a minute. It says you cannot share the screen. 1 minute, I will quit and I'll join. 1 minute, madam.
Hello, sir. Sir, you are able to hear me?
I'm able to hear you. Yeah.
Sir, now can you try sharing your slides?
I'm doing it. I'm doing it. Wait. Just a minute.
Yes, sir.
Now are you able to see? Ma'am?
Yes, sir. Your slides are visible, sir, now.
Now I'm moving to the next slide. Please kindly see that whether it's changing.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
No, sir. Your same slide. It is on your first slide.
That's why, madam, when I go to the slideshow, it's not moving. Slides are not moving.
Now I can see your second
Sorry to
slide, sir.
interrupt, sir.
Yes, sir.
Sir, one of the solution is you can try sharing the entire screen instead of a window. While sharing, instead of a
Okay.
window or a tab, you can share the entire screen. Then if you make the full screen, everything will be visible.
Okay, I'll do that. I'll do that. I'll do that. Now,
Yes,
are you
sir.
able to see?
Now,
Slide is visible.
Now it is visible, now?
Yes, even the slide is getting changed. Now it is in the spaces in data analysis.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
So what you are trying to discuss, predictive analytics. The predictive analytics, there are two techniques. One is classification and prediction. Classification, where you will go for the classification. If the class label is categorical, then you will go for classification. If that class label is continuous, then you will go for prediction. Right? The example is the same student data, the grade, S grade, A grade, B grade. Okay, the task is to classify the student is excellent, good, and average. Then you can go for classification. Suppose instead of that grade is 90%, 80%, and 70%, then you can go for prediction. I hope you got the difference between the classification and prediction. Okay, so it's used in many applications. So what happens in the predictive analytics? What you have to do? First, we have to take the data and we have to divide the data into training and testing. We have to take the data into training and testing. Are you able to see this RapidMiner screen? This screen?
Yes, sir,
Yes,
we
sir.
are able to see.
So quickly, I will show you the steps involved in the predictive analytics. There are various tools available in the market for predictive analytics. I hope many of you may be using the Python, but I used to use this RapidMiner tool. It is another tool for the data. Pardon? Yes.
Yes.
So the RapidMiner tool is another tool. It's a graphical user interface tool. It's a very easy, only plug and play. So quickly, I will show you how one predictive analytics model can be built. So first, we have to read the data. So just I'm trying to use read Excel. Your data may be in any form. It may be Excel or it may be CSV or it can be in any form. So here I have read Excel operator. All the functionality are named as operator here. In the left hand side, you can see this is operator window. Okay, where we can see all these functionalities, whether reading or modeling. If you look here, I will show you. See here. Data access, blending, cleansing, modeling. Under the modeling, you have predictive. You are talking about predictive analytics. So I am going to show you how to develop a predictive model. Okay. So first one is, for that I need a data. So I applied, I have taken the read Excel operator. Is it visible? Read Excel operator. Now the right hand side you can see, for the each operator you have to set some parameter. Okay, now I have to locate the file. Which file I have to read? So if we keep the cursor on read Excel, in the right hand side, you can see the Excel file. You have to browse the file. Otherwise, we can use this import configuration wizard, which is used to read the data. Okay, so just I'm clicking this and I'm trying to locate my data. 1 minute. Now you can see this is my data set, and which is also there in the PPT. The data set is like this. Are you able to see the slide?
So we are able. Yes, sir, we are able to.
So now you can see this. This is one data set. It's a bank data set. Okay. So this is the example. The following table 1 gives the profile of customer who has taken loan from a bank. The table also shows how many of them really cheated the bank. This is the table. Table 1. Can you develop a decision rule to classify the customer as whether they will cheat or not based on the value of 3 attributes: refund, marital status, and taxable income? Right. So the idea is we have to develop a prediction model. It's a bank data. Manager is getting a lot of applications for loan. Okay. Now what he thought, he decided to create some data analytics model. Okay. So the model will process the application and the model will say whether the customer is a genuine customer or fraud customer. Okay. So here, to represent whether the customer is genuine or a fraud customer, there is an attribute called cheat. You can see here. Cheat is equal to no. It means is a genuine customer. Cheat is equal to yes means is a fraud customer. Okay. So for that, what he did, he already had so much of data, like the past 10 years data. Okay, so he is supplying this data as a training data to the model. Okay, so this is the training data. The data to be divided into training and testing. So what he did, he has taken the past 2 years data, let us assume like that, and he has divided the data into training and testing. In the predictive analytics, we have to do like this. So while doing like this, you might have heard or you might have gone through some research paper. It says that you can divide always in the ratio of 80 and 20. 80% of data will be considered as a training data. 20% of data will be considered as a testing data. Or some people used to say 70 and 30. But when you do manually, the problem is it may leads to some unbalanced data set. Okay, so to overcome that, you have some method called Cras-K validation. Okay, the Cras-K validation, what it does, it divides the data into training and testing automatically by applying some iteration. That Cras-K, the K is nothing but the number of folding. Okay, if you say 5, then 5 iteration will be done and the data will be divided into training and testing. If you say K is 10, then 10 folding will be done and the data will be divided into training and testing. Right? So let us assume that this is the training data. Now, there are 3 attributes. Refund, the customer refund status. You might have already obtained some loan from the bank. So whether he has repaid that loan properly or not. So yes means he has repaid properly. No means he is a default customer. So he is not paying properly EMI. Then you know that if you are married, you are more committed. Correct? So single or married, it plays another crucial role. And then the income. Okay, so here they have taken a threshold called 80K. Greater than 80K, less than 80K. So based on these 3 parameters, 3 attributes, okay, you have a cheat. So in this table, the cheat is called as class label and all the other attributes are called as conditional attribute. Okay, the refund, martial status, taxable income are called as conditional attribute and cheat is called as decision attribute, or you can call it as a class label. This attribute is mainly used to classify your data. That's why this attribute is called as decision attribute, or you can call it as class label. Okay, right? Now, our idea is to build the model. Our idea is to build a predictive model. So I'm going to show you in the RapidMiner. The same data is here. I think you can able to see this. The same data is here. Okay, I'm reading the data. And whenever you try to read any data to build a prediction model, you have to communicate to the system which attribute in your data set is class label. That is very, very important. Whether you are doing in Python or in R or in RapidMiner, we have to do that. Okay, so in this case, the cheat attribute is the class label. So you can see here, I'm trying to assign the cheat is the class label. So there is a property called change role. Just I'm going to say here it is label. Okay, then finish. Then data is read. Now we have to connect and see. There is a port. You have to connect. And then this is a blue icon under the menu bar. You can see to run the process. So this is the data. What I did, just I read the data. Are you able to see the data now in the RapidMiner? Anyone? Are you able to see the data? Anyone? Hello? Madam?
Hello, sir.
Are you able to see that data?
No, sir, we are not able to see now. Yes, now it's visible, sir.
Now it's visible, no? Right.
Yes.
So this is the data, right? Now you can see that now the cheat attribute has become the first. It means it is the class label. It is the class label, right? Now I'll go to the design part. So what I said, it is a process to divide the data, and we have to divide the data, right, into training and testing. So I'm trying to use Cras-K validation. Okay. So it is called as Cras validation or Cras-K validation. I am in RapidMiner tool. I hope you can able to see.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir, we are able
Yes.
to see, sir.
Okay. So there is an operator called cross validation. What it does, it divides the data into training and testing. Now you can see this operator. These operators look like double rectangle symbol. So if it is a double rectangle symbol, it means it is a nested operator. Operator within operator. So you have to double click. Now you can see, I will enlarge it. Now you can see there is a two window now. Training and testing. You can see training. Now you can see this is a training and this is testing. Okay. So now the data is divided. What is the meaning of it? You have supplied the data and the cross validation divides the data into training and testing. Cross validation divides the data into training and testing. So we have training here and we have testing. You can able to see that. Just I will increase. Now you can able to see TRA. This port carries the training data and this port carries the testing data. So what is the process? First divide the data into training and testing. Now you have the training data. You apply any data analytics model on this training data to build the model. Okay. So now I am going to apply. You are talking about predictives, right? So I will try to select some modeling under the predictive. You can see there are many. I am going to select Bayesian. Bayesian is one of the important predictive analytics method. Okay, Navy Bayes, and I'm supplying this training data as the input. Okay, then now you can see the model is ready. So it is available in this port. Connect. Okay, simple. So on the training data, you are applying this Navy Bayes and you are trying to produce the model. Training part is done. Now you have to come into the testing part. Okay, so what is the step? Data, divide the data into training and testing, use the training data, apply any one of this data analytics method and build the model. It is done. Now you have to see to that whether how far the model is good. So for that you are going to use the testing data. Okay, so model is available in this port and testing data is available in this port. So you have to apply this model on this testing data. So there is a one operator called apply model. Okay, and drag and drop here and connect this model to this and apply this testing data. So what it means, you have built the model by using Navy Bayes and you are trying to apply this model on this testing data. Okay, now in the beginning I told that you should have the measures to evaluate the model, performance measures. Okay, so for the classifications you have some measures, right? So here you can add an operator called performance. Performance for classification. Okay, then connect only the labels and then you connect this performance. Okay, so job is done. So you are inside the cross validation. Okay, data, you applied cross validation and it divides the data into training and you applied some data analytics method. Here you applied Navy Bayesian on this training data and you got the model, and then this model is applied on the testing data and then you got some labels, class labels. By using that you want to evaluate the performance. You keep your cursor on the performance. Now you can see in the right hand side accuracy. Accuracy is one of the best measures to evaluate the performance of the classification model. Okay, classification error, recall, precision. Okay, all these things you can select. And once it is done, go back to the main process and connect. These things you have to connect. First model, you want to see the model, and I want to see the original data, and I want to see the testing data, and what is the performance of it. Okay, then go back, run the process. You can see here, this is accuracy. This is accuracy is 80%. So this model for this data, bank data, it gives accuracy is 80%. Okay, so what is the error? 20%. Accuracy error is nothing but 1 minus accuracy, right? So accuracy is 80% and classification error is 20%. What is this? This is nothing but confusion matrix. Okay, by using this only you can compute this accuracy and classification error. This is called as confusion matrix. I will explain you in this slide. Okay, so this is the way to develop a model. This is the way to develop a model. So what happened here in this case, just I developed a model, but now I have one more data set like this. Just a minute. Are you able to see this data? Excel sheet?
We are able to see, sir.
Yeah. Now you can see this is another data set. So what happened? What is the history? What is the story here? Bank manager is building a predictive model by using Navy Bayesian. You have discussed. I have shown you in the rapid manner tool. I have developed a model also. Model gives 80% accuracy. I felt happy. Okay, it is fine. So now I got some many applications from the customers. Okay. Now what I want to do, I want to know whether these customers are genuine or fraud. Okay. Now you can see there is an attribute called cheat. See, it is empty. Okay. It is unknown. It is unknown. So what you have to do? What you have to do? 1 minute. What you have to do? You have to see. You can see that here the cheat value is missing. So we have to predict what will be the value of cheat, whether it is no or yes. But because in the training data, you know that there are two values for the cheat. Okay, one is cheat is equal to yes and cheat is equal to no. So these are the new application which are obtained by the manager. Now he wants to apply this model and he wants to predict whether these 14 customers are genuine or fraud customers. Okay, so what I am going to do now in the tool, I am going to once again apply read Excel. Okay, and I'm going to read this data. Now we can see the cheat is missing. Here also we have to communicate to the system that attribute is a label, class label. That is important. See, it is question mark. Okay, so cheat is change role. This label. Okay, then finish. Done. Now this model you want to apply here. You already built the model. Model is here. You want to apply this model on this new data set. You want to predict, which is unknown. What is predictive analytics? Predictive analytics is a process which finds the unknown value. Okay. So I'm going to apply a model. Apply model. What will be the input now? This model will be the input. Okay. And this is the data. Right. And the result will be here. So I want to join here. Now run the process. Are you able to see the screen? Now are you able to see this? Please respond. I am showing some Srinivas Reddy is saying yes. Okay. Okay. So now this is the output. Now you can see I have supplied a data set where the cheat is unknown, 14 customers. The manager wants to know whether to give the loan or not. So for that, you want to take a decision. Okay. So he applied a prediction model, he developed a prediction model. Now he applied on the data. Okay. Earlier it is empty, all the 14 question marks, but now it is predicted. I think you can able to see there is a prediction. Okay. So first 4 people are good peoples. Okay, cheat is no value, but fifth one is yes, he may be cheating. Then sixth, seventh, no problem, but eighth may be cheating, 10th may be cheating, 12th may be cheating, 14th may be cheating. So what it means, based on this, the manager will reject fifth customer, eighth customer, 10th customer, 12th customers, and 14th customers. Remaining people will be getting the loan. How it is happened? What you did, you have applied a Bayesian classification. What is the concept behind the Bayesian classification? Bayesian is the good statistical classifier. It works based on the probability. Okay. So there are 2 classes in the given problem. One is cheat is equal to no. Another one is cheat is equal to yes. So it computes the probability. Okay, for each class. So which class produces the maximum probability? Then the tuple will be assigned to the particular class. So here you just take the first customer. First customer. What is the confidence value, probability value for no class? 0.993. This is the probability value you have computed in the background. And for the yes class, it is 0.007. Okay. So which one is maximum? No class is maximum. That's why no is assigned. You take the fifth record. For the no class, the probability confidence value is 0.419. For S class, it is 0.581. Which one is maximum? S class is maximum. That's why for fifth record, the prediction value is yes. Like that it goes on. This is called as predictive analytics. I hope now it's clear to you. So I have developed a model. Okay. I have developed a model here. Just I read the data. I divided the data into training and testing by using cross validation. Then I have applied Naive Bayesian here on the training data. I got the model. Then I have applied this model on the testing data and I got the performance. Okay. Now model is ready. I want to analyze a new data set. Okay. So that's why I read the new data where the class level is unknown. The predictive analytics, the classification is a process which predicts unknown class label. So in this data set, there is a cheat class label which is unknown for 14 customers. Okay. So I have applied this model and now this model is able to give me the result, prediction result for all the 14 records. That's it. Okay. This is called as a predictive analytics. Okay. So it can be any algorithm, whether it is a Naive Bayesian or decision tree or KNN, K nearest neighbor or support vector machine. The process is same. Where it will change? It will change here. The training phase. Okay, now Naive Bayesian. Now I will remove this. I will delete. Instead of Naive Bayesian, I will go for decision tree. I'm applying decision tree now. Okay, and then model. I'm not changing any other step. Only I'm changing the algorithm. Then run the process. Just a minute. See, now the results are changing, right? The same prediction results are changing. Earlier, there's up to 4 record, it is no. But now you see the second record prediction is changing yes. Because the concept is different. Decision tree algorithm. Okay, decision tree is another famous classification algorithm where you have 3 algorithm, ID3, C4.5, CART. Okay, right? So you can use this decision tree is by using ID3. Okay, or you can say that here you can see decision tree criterion. In decision tree, I think you can see the result also. Yeah, results because we are not shown the result here. Okay. Because the model is not connected. to be connected here, then run the process. One minute. This is a decision tree. So this is a tree. Decision tree, you know that tree will be having root and branches, correct? So here in the decision tree algorithm, the important thing is which attribute. You know that in the bank data set, refund, taxable income, and the whether the person is married or single, okay, marital status. These three attributes plays a major role. Now we have to see which attribute will act as a root node, that is splitting attribute. That is the concept of decision tree. Okay, so if you look that there are three here, you can see criterion. Okay, if it is ID3, information gain is used. Okay, we have to compute the information gain for each attribute. The attribute which produces the maximum information gain will be considered as a splitting attribute. Okay, and if it is C4.5, then you will use which one? Gain ratio. Okay, we have to see compute the gain ratio for all the attributes. Attribute which produces the gain ratio, maximum gain ratio, will be considered as the splitting attribute. Now you can run. I think earlier I used gain ratio, or I don't know just exactly. Let's run and see the difference. If there is any difference. It is gain ratio only. Now I will see it is information gain, and then we will run it. Okay, see, I think now serial number is actually you should remove. You should avoid the serial number. Serial number is not performing role in this. Okay, that you have to do while supplying the data itself. And now I will change. The last one is Gini index. In CART, Gini index is used as a measure. But here the thing is the attribute which has least Gini index value will be considered as splitting attribute. Now you can run the process and see. How it works, how it behaves. Okay, so there are some slight differences. So like this we can do. So this is the way to use a predictive analytics. Okay, so I have taken one application, bank applications. I have built the predictive models, and then I have also shown you how to predict the unknown customer values. Okay, whether the customer is cheating or not. We'll go to the PPT now. So this is what I explained here. This is a question. Now we build the model. This is a testing data. Now you have to understand one more. We have to understand one more here. Now what happened? This is the training data we have used. This is the training data we have used to build the model, and this is the testing data. Okay. So what is the testing data? In testing data also will have class label. See here we have cheat. So I have supplied 5 testing data where I am supplying actually this customer will not cheat, second customer will not cheat, third customer may not cheat, fourth customer may not cheat, but the fifth customer may be. Okay. Now I want to test my model by using the testing data. If I do so, okay, it comes like this. After applying this testing data, now you can see I have used the testing data for the model. The model predicted like this. What is any difference? Yes. In the second record, it is different. Okay. Actually, the first customer, originally it is no. Your model also predicted that it is no. The second row, originally it is no, but your model says no, he may be cheating. Yes. Okay, but there is no change in the remaining customers, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Now, based on this only, you have to build the confusion matrix. This is a confusion matrix. Okay. Confusion matrix goes like this. Confusion matrix goes like this. So what is the confusion matrix? Because the matrix which used to confuse us. That's why it's called as confusion matrix. So you can see in the row, the x-axis will have actual class and y-axis predicted class. So you know that in this problem, it is a binary problem. Okay, 2 classes. Cheat is equal to yes is a one class, cheat is equal to no. So you can make like this: cheat is equal to yes and cheat is equal to no. Like that in the y also, sorry, in the predicted class also, we can have class is equal to yes, class is equal to no. Now, to understand purpose, I have given this table. Let us say when actual class value is yes and predicted class also yes, it is A. And when the actual class is yes and the predicted class is no, it is B. When the actual class is no and the predicted class is yes, then it is C. When the actual class is no and the predicted class also no, then it is D. To understand, so you know that A, B, C, D, right? Easily you can remember. So A, B, C, D. What is accuracy? Accuracy is nothing but sum these diagonals A plus D divided by total number of data A plus B plus C plus D. Okay, sum these diagonals A plus D divided by A plus B plus C plus D. Right, you will get the accuracy. And what is the precision? Only for S class. A divided by A plus C. What is the recall? A divided by A plus B. So these are the simple formulas. Okay, I given. So by using this, you can evaluate the performance of the classification. Now, you did one problem, right? Same data I have taken, the same table. This is the training data class label. And after applying this testing data on your model, the model treated like this. So based on this table, I wish to develop build a confusion matrix theoretically. Okay. So here I slightly I've changed. I've taken no as a first, yes as a second. You can do it, no issues. Okay. So now actual class is no and predicted also no. Do you have any such a category? No, no. You have to check no, no. No, no 1, no, no 2, no, no 3. So 3. Then the actual class is no, predicted yes, no yes combination. Do you have any combination? Yes, in the second record. So 1. And do you have yes, no combination? Actual is yes, predicted is no. You don't have any combination, so 0. And do you have yes, yes combination? Yes, I have only one entry, so 1. So this is the confusion matrix. So what is accuracy now? Add the diagonals 3 plus 1, 4, divided by total number of data 3 plus 1, 4, divided by 3 plus 1 plus 0 plus 1, 5. Okay, right? 3 plus 1, 4 and 4 plus 1, 5. So you will get 4 divided by 5. So you will get 80% accuracy, 0.8. Correct? Accuracy is 80%. This is the way to build a confusion matrix theoretically. This is done in the tool automatically here in the RapidMiner. You can see the results, the confusion matrix. This is a confusion matrix. Okay. So here prediction is no. This in the x-axis, that is row, you have the actual classes. Prediction is no, prediction is yes. And in the y, the column, this is predicted class. Okay, right? No and yes, right? So here no, no 2, no yes 3, yes no 5, yes 0. Okay, so based on this, the accuracy is computed because we have used decision tree. In the decision tree, the accuracy is very less. Now, if I change now the algorithm, now this I will remove. I will show you the Bayesian. Maybe Bayes. Because in the decision tree for this data, the accuracy is less. So I want to show you. Now you can see. This is a performance vector. So what is accuracy? Total data are 6, 7, 9, 10. 6 plus 2, 8 plus 2, 10. And the accuracy is, you have to add the diagonals, 6 plus 2, 8, 8 by 10, so 80%. That's why you got 80%. Okay, so this is called as, now you can see the recall is there and precision is there. Okay, but this is for no class precision and this is the S class precision. And this is a recall for no class and for S class, right? So you can do like this. So you must know how to build a predictive analytics and how to evaluate the model. That is very important. You may be doing research. Okay, you may be applying any SVM classifications for brain image to detect the cancer, right? So you have to see how far your model is good. You have to validate, right? You have to say that the accuracy is 90%. You have to compare with the state of art, right? That is a way to do the research. Okay, so how you can use this tool? You can write your own code in Python. Okay, what are the methodology which you are proposing, and you'll be getting accuracy. And for other method, no need to write a code. Use this tool, supply the same data here, and get the accuracy, and then plot the graph. This is the way you have to do the research. Is it fine? Okay. Is it clear? Okay. Right. We move to the algorithm point of view. Now let us actually, this is to understand. I have shown a table. Now, theoretically, this is the way confusion matrix is represented like this. Are you able to see the PPT? Confusion matrix, true positive PPT?
Yes, sir.
Thank you, madam. So, in the previous slide, for understanding purpose, I given A, B, C, D. But when you read the articles or papers, it will be like this. Okay, so two classes, C1 and C2, and C1 and C2. This is true positive. Okay, and this is false. When the class is S and S, this is true positive. And class is S and the predicted is no, then false negative. When the actual class is no and the predicted class is yes, then it is false positive. When the actual class is no and the predicted class also no, then it's true negative. So people used to talk in terms of true positive, false negative, false positive, true negative. So I will get the accuracy, take true positive value, true negative value, add, divided by total number of data. That is a way to compute the accuracy. Once we have the accuracy, easily we can compute the error rate of the classification model. 1 minus accuracy, we'll get it. This is a way to evaluate the model performance. Yeah. So, how much time I have, madam? Up to what time? Yes, anybody? Up to what time I can proceed? Up to 3:30 or what?
Yes, sir. You can proceed till 3:30.
Okay. Thanks, madam. Right. So quickly we'll see one theoretical concept also. What you did so far, you have not discussed algorithm actually. You have discussed how to use in tool. What are the steps you have to follow? So quickly I will teach you one theorem, one algorithm. Then we'll go for second part, prediction, quickly. Okay. So right. So we have used the Bayesian classification. I told you that the Bayesian is nothing but a good statistical classifier which uses the probability, which computes the probability for each class. And what are the class which produces the maximum probability, then it will assign the data to the particular class. That is the concept behind the Bayesian classification. The Bayesian classification, but you have only one drawback that you have one assumption here. Class conditional independence. It means one attribute is independent of another attribute. That is a assumption we have in Bayesian classification. So the Bayesian classification derived from the Bayes theorem. This is the Bayes theorem. Once again, it is another statistical theorem. Okay, so P of H by X is equal to P of X by H. 1 minute. P of H by X is equal to P of X by H, P of H divided by P of X. H represents the hypothesis, X denotes a training data. Okay, so let us assume like this. I have some fruits. Okay, so I'm going to have a hypothesis. If the fruit shape is round and its color is red, then I can frame hypothesis that it may be the apple. Okay, so if I do like this, that is called as posterior probability, P of X by H. Hypothesis depends on X, whether its shapes and color. What is P of H? P of H is prior probability. Okay, I am not depending on the sample. Simply I am framing hypothesis the fruit is apple. That is P of H. Okay, and what is this P of X? The P of X is constant for all the hypotheses. So it is not considered while computing. Okay, so this Bayes theorem is converted to Bayesian classification. Now you can see that this is the Bayes classification, Bayesian classification, Navy Bayesian classification. H is replaced by Ci. Okay, probability of Ci divided by X is equal to P of X by Ci. P of Ci divided by P of X. Now this P of X is constant for all the class, so you are not going to bother about it. So your job is to compute only the numerator. So if you want to compute the probability of the sample with respect to each class, then it is nothing but probability of X by Ci multiplied with probability of Ci. Okay. So what is I here? The I is nothing but the number of classes. Okay. I is equal to 1 to m. You can have any number of classes, 1 class, 2 class, 3 class, any number of classes. But for each class, you have to compute the probability with respect to X. Okay. Right. Now, this is a example taken from Ann Campbell book. Right. So famous book. Some people may be knowing this already. Right. So you have data set. Age, income, whether he is a student or not, his credit rating, and the last one is Bayes component. 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. There are 14 tuples. Okay, and how many classes we have? Which attribute is a class label here? Bayes computer is the class label. Okay, so whether the person buys a computer or not. No means he is not buying the computer. Yes means yes, he is trying to buy the computer. Okay, let us assume like this. Now, what you have to do? This is the data. Use this data and build the model by using Bayesian classification and predict for this given data. One more new person has come. His age is less than or equal to 30. His income is medium. He is a student and his credit rating is fair. Whether the question is now whether this guy will buy a computer or not. Okay. So what is prediction? Prediction is a process which is used to predict unknown class label. Here the Bayes computer is not known to us. We have to predict. So for that, use this data, build the model and do it. In the rapid manner, I have shown you by using graphical user interface. Now I am going to show you theoretically, mathematically how it happened. Okay, right. Let us assume there are two class. Class 1 is Bayes computer is equal to yes. Class 2 is equal to Bayes computer is equal to no. So what is the formula here? The formula is like this. P of Ci divided by X is equal to P of X by Ci, P of Ci. Now what is I? I is equal to 1, 2. There are two classes, no? Bayes computer is equal to yes, Bayes computer is equal to no. So two classes we have. Okay. So you have to compute 1 minute. So probability of Ci divided by X, you have to compute. So it is nothing but P of X by Ci and multiplied with P of Ci. Are you able to see the notepad? Are you able to see the notepad?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So P of, so I is equal to 1, 2. So I have to compute P of C1. That is nothing but P of C1 by X equal to P of, I have to use same terminology. To compute X by C1 and P of C1. Like that, I have to iterate the same process for the second class. So it will be 2. Okay. Now this is general. So I have, since I have two classes, okay, I have to compute the product of C1 with respect to X, C2 with respect to X. Okay. Then if P of C1 by X is greater than P of C2 by X, I can say X belongs to C1. This is the logic behind this Bayesian algorithm. But now you have to compute these two. Okay, that I am going to show you now in the PPT. Let us take this problem. Let us take this data. Okay. So what is X? This is X. X is given. Age is less than 30. Income is equal to medium. Student is equal to S. Credit rating is equal to 5. Now, we have two classes. What are the two classes? Bias computer is equal to yes. Bias computer is equal to no. So, we have to compute as per this formula. We have to compute the P of Ci. So, P of C1 you have to compute and P of C2 you have to compute. So, first I am trying to compute P of C1. That is P of bias computer is equal to yes. Okay. Why it is 9 by 14? There are totally 14 tuples. 14 rows are there in this given data. Among the 14 tuples, there are 9 tuples belongs to class 1. That is bias computer is equal to S. Just check count how many S. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. That's why you have 9 by 14. I repeat, 9 by 14 is nothing but in the given data set, 14 total number of tuple, total number of row is 14. Among these 14, 9 row belongs to S class. That is bias computer is equal to S. 9 by 14. Then compute the probability of second class, that is class 2. That is nothing but P of bias computer is equal to no. Okay. So here you can go back to the data and check. 1, how many no in the bias computer? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, there are 5 rows belongs to no class. Okay, that's why 5 by 14. What is the 14? 14 is total number of rows. Okay, so this is a way to compute the probability of class 1 and class 2. This job is done. This is done. Now you have to compute this P of X by Ca. What is X? X is age. So I can say like this. This is X1. Age is X1. Income is X2. Student is equal to S is X3. Credit rating 4 is X4. So X is made up of X1, X2, X3, X4. So how to compute this P of X by Ca? That is the formula. P of X by Ci, I told no, a simplified assumption. Attributes are conditionally independent. That's why it is product. Okay. So P of X by Ci is nothing but pi. K is equal to 1 to N. P of X base K divided by Ci is nothing but, I told you, no, X is converted into X1, X2, X3, X4, and so on. K is equal to 1 to N. So I can say probability of X1 with respect to the particular class multiplied with probability of X2 with respect to the particular class and so on. Okay. So you will, from the examples, we get clear picture. Don't worry. Now, so first I am taking X1. X1, what is X1? Age is less than 30. So I am trying to compute the probability of age is less than 30 with respect to class 1. So probability of age is less than 30 with respect to class 1. Bias computer is equal to yes. So you know that there are 9 tuple belongs to S class. Yes, 9 denominator. Then among the 9, how many tuples where age is less than or equal to 30? Go back to the data. You have to see less than 30 and yes combination. How many cases we have? Less than 30 and yes. 1 here. Here. Sorry, not this one. This one. Right? Less than 30 and yes. Then less than 30, yes. So there are 2 tuples. Okay. So that's why here we have 2 by 9. And we have to compute probability of age is less than 30, bias computer is equal to no. The next class you have to do it. Okay, so go back here. What do you do? Less than 30 and no. So 1, 2, check anything else. Less than 30 and no. 1, 2, less than, yes, there is a one more here. Okay, So it is 3 by 5. Why 3 by 5? There are 3 tuples where age is less than 30 for no class. There are 5 tuples belongs to no class, 3 by 5. We have to iterate this process for x2, x3, x4. Okay. Now take the income. Income is equal to medium, right? So income is equal to medium. So now we have to take probability of income is equal to medium with respect to bias computer is equal to S. Okay. So you know that for the S class there are 9 tuples. So the denominator is 9. Among the 9, how many tuples where income is medium? So we have to check the combination medium and yes. Medium and yes. So go back to the data, check medium and yes. Yes, 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Okay. So I can say 4 by 9. That's why we got 4 by 9 here. Okay. Then we have to check probability of income is equal to medium with bias computer is equal to no. So denominator, you know that 5. There are 5 tuples belongs to no class. Among the 5, how many tuples where income is medium? Okay. So go back and check medium and no. There is 1 and 2. So here 2 by 5. Okay. Like that, student is equal to yes, bias computer yes. So we'll get 6 by 9. You can go back. Student is equal to yes and bias computer is equal to yes. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So you have 6 by 9. Like that, student is equal to yes and bias computer is equal to no. So you'll get 1 by 5. You can see only yes and no, only one combination here. Then you don't have any other combination here. Okay, that's why it is 1 by 5. Right? So like this, we have to compute for credit rating also. We have to compute for a credit rating also. So if you do that, then you will get 6 by 9 for class 1 and 2 by 5 for class 2. Okay. Right. Now, what is the formula? P of x by Ca multiplied with P of Ca. So first we'll compute this P of x by Ca. P of x by Ca is nothing but P of x1 by Ci multiplied with P of x2 by Ca. Okay. So first take all the S class values. This one, 1 minute. So take only S class values, 0.022 for age is less than 30. Then for income is medium, 0.44. Then student is S, 0.069, sorry, 667. Then credit rating is equal to fire, 0.0667, 667. So you multiply this, all this one, okay, right? So we'll get 0.44. I hope you are able to understand with this formula. This is the formula. P of x by Ca is nothing but P of x1 by Ca multiplied with P of x2 by Ca multiplied with P of xn by Ca. Same thing you are doing here. Okay. Like this, if you do for class 2, we get 0.019. Now what is this? This is P of x by Ca only. But what is the formula? The formula is P of Ci. Here I think it is there in the it is there in the notebook. Okay, so you have to compute P of x1 by x and C2 by x. So here in this value, in this PPT, you have these two values. This is bias computer S value is 0.643. Okay, and multiplied with this 0.044. You will get this value 0.028. Okay, same way if you do for class 2, you will get 0.007. Now tell me which class produces the maximum probability. This is for class 1. This is for class 1 and this is for class 2. So 0.02 is greater than 0.007. So it means the given data, for this data only, you have to compute what is, whether this guy will buy a computer or not. You have to compute buys computer value. What is the buy computer value? That you have to, that is the idea. You want to predict. Now you have the algorithm predicted that the given X belongs to buys computer is equal to yes. Okay. So theoretically, I have shown you how a prediction model is working, how the Navy Bayesian classifier is working to predict the unknown class label for the given data set. Clear? Is it clear? Okay. So this is classification. Okay. This is classification. And in this Navy Bayesian, we have one problem called a zero probability problem. Suppose here, suppose one of the probability value will become 0. This is 0. You don't have such a combination. Then the entire probability for this class will become 0. Right? So this is called as zero probability problem in Bayesian. So to overcome that, we have a solution for that. It's called as Laplacian correction. Okay. So what it says, suppose your data set with 1000 tuples, and there are 3 cases: income is low, income is medium, and income is high. But actually only 2 classes are present: medium 990 tuples and income is 10 tuples. So totally 1000 tuples. But there is no such a case in income is equal to low, 0 tuples. So automatically what will happen when you compute the probability? The entire thing will become 0. Okay, to overcome that, they are applying Laplacian correction. What it says, you try to add 1 to each case. So while computing probability of income is equal to low, there is no such a tuple, but add 1 in the numerator. Okay, since there are 3 cases, then add, actually the total number of tuples is 1000, but we have 3 cases, so we add 3. So 1 by 1003. Then for medium, actually it is 990 by 1000, but now it becomes 991, adding 1 in the numerator, adding 3 in the denominator. Then probability of income is equal to I. Actually you have 10. It's supposed to be 10 by 1000, but now we added 1 in the numerator, so it becomes 11, and the denominator we have 1000. Okay, so that it avoids that zero probability problem. Okay, this we have already discussed. And these are the formulas, different formulas for recall and specificity. See, there is a formula for the accuracy based on sensitivity and specificity. You can also do this. But what is the shortcut method? Add the diagonals. See, for example, in this data, add this diagonal 6954 to 588 divided by total number of data. You will get the accuracy. Okay. And the prediction. So we have discussed classification. One example for classification. So classification comes under predictive analytics. There are n number of algorithms for classification. You have decision tree, Navy Bayesian, support vector machine, neural network, okay, and KNN, K nearest neighbor, fuzzy classification, rough set classification, rule-based classification, and so on. All right. Now, the second part of the predictive analytics is prediction. So what is prediction? Prediction models continuous values. It means it forms a line between 2 points. Okay, x and that is x is a 1 point and y is another point. Then it forms the line between the 2 points. That's called as regression. Okay, so there are different types of regression: linear regression, non-linear regressions, multiple linear regressions, lasso regression, logistic regression, and so on. Just you will have one example for linear regression. Okay, so the linear regression goes like this: simple linear regressions. Y is equal to a plus bx. This is a one way. And what is a, b? This is a one way of representation. Or you can also use this. Y is equal to w0 plus w1x. Okay. The w0, w1 are nothing but the coefficients. Okay. Which are computed by using the least square method. So W1 is computed like this. If you have X and Y value, then W1 is nothing but the summation of I is equal to 1 modulus of D, Xi minus X bar, Yi minus Y bar, multiplied with summation of I is equal to modulus of D, Xi minus X bar square. Once you compute this W1, then substitute in the W0. W0 is nothing but Y bar minus W1 X bar. Okay, so this is the equation we have to apply. Let us take this example. There is a one X value, Y value. Let us say this is one student marks data. This is internal mark and this is end sem mark. Okay, right now this is the data which is given. It means a student secured 65 in internal mark, internal examinations. Okay, he secured 69 in end sem exam, and he scored 88, but he studied very well, so he got 78. Then he got 89, but in the end sem it is 8. So it's a different combination. Then 88 and 21, right? But now if we secure 61 in the internal mark examination, what will be the end sem mark? Okay, if we secured 61, that is X is available. We have to, so what is the linear regression? Y is equal to W. This is there, no, here itself. W0 and W1 is there. What is X? 61. It is available. Now you have to compute this W0 and W1. X is there. You have to predict what is Y. Okay. So you have to compute this W0, W1 by using this X and Y. For that only you have the formula. So simple. You can form a table like this. X, Y, then compute the X bar, Y bar. Okay. Then X minus X bar, you can have table. Then Y minus Y bar table. Okay. Then you can multiply this. Another column can be X minus X bar. Then Y minus Y bar. Okay, multiplication. Then you can submit here. So once if you have this, it's very easy to apply this formula and you can get the result. So if you do so, you will get a model like this. Okay, we'll get a model like this. Right, this is what you got here, W0, and this is W1X. So if you substitute the value of X, then you can be able to predict Y. Okay, so X is called as predictor variable. X is called as a predictor variable because which is used to predict what is the value of Y. Okay, or you can say X is called as independent variable and Y is dependent variable because Y is depending on X. So this is called as a regression. So for example, I want to forecast the rainfall. Okay, but there are many parameters. I have minimum temperature, maximum temperature, wind speed, and so on. So there will be more than X. Then in that case, the equation become like this. That's called as multiple linear regression. Y is equal to W0, W1X1 plus W1X2. Like that goes on. So more than one X. All right. So you can predict the rainfall. That is called as linear regression. And here also there are many measures you have, right? So in this prediction model, you have some value that is actual value, and after applying the model predicted some value. Okay, that's called as predicted value. So you can say the Yi is nothing but the actual value, and Yi dash is predicted value. So you want to compute the performance of the model. So I want to know what is the loss function, what is the error of the model. So if I subtract the actual expected value from the actual value, then I will get what is the error of the model. So the absolute error is nothing but the modulus of the actual value Yi minus the predicted value. Okay. If I square this, I will get squared error. Right. Then you have test error. Right. So here we have, if you take the mean of this, then you will get mean absolute error. If you square this, mean square error, then relative absolute error, relative square error. Okay, so the one of the important measure is root mean square error, which is mostly used by the people. Okay, right. So we have to check if that root mean square error, normally it falls between 0 to 1. If it is greater than 6, the model is reasonably good. Okay, so this is the way you have to compute. And there are, you know that, so that's all about the prediction. That's all about prediction techniques. And there are some more informations like data sets, using machine learning repository is there. And we have KDD archive, you can download the data and you can use it. And Kaggle dataset is there. And there is a website called KD Nuggets. There also you can download datasets. And these are the journals we have to refer for your research. Okay, from IEEE, Transactional Knowledge and Data Engineering, and Data Mining and Knowledge Discovery from Wiley and Springer. Okay, there are many journals. And then there are many conferences, good conferences like KDD conferences and PAKDD, ICDM, right, and SIGDD. These are the important and very famous conference in this field. You try to submit the papers and or try to explore the papers from the journal, from the conference and journal. I think I covered almost all the things, and now over to the query. Thank you very much for your patient listening.
We'll now start with the Q&A session. I request the participants to post your queries in the chat box. Sir, there is a question.
Yeah.
How do we identify which algorithm is well suited for a problem?
Okay. Which problem and which algorithm? Huh?
Yes.
Yeah, that is correct. See, it's very no. See, you have to see that what kind of applications you are going to choose. That is very, very important. And suppose you have to see whether you are going to first apply classification or predictions. All it depends upon the applications also. The algorithm selection also depends upon the applications, so that you can choose the particular algorithm. And as well as you have to look the data set. Okay, so for example, if the data set, as I told you, if that class label is categorical, then go for classifications. Okay, and if it is mostly, if the conditional attribute and decision attributes are numerical, then go for neural network and SVM. And if it is categorical completely, then you can go for decision tree, Naive Bayesian, and so on. So like that you can choose. Any queries?
If there are any more queries, participants, please post them in the chat box. Fine.
Yeah, you are welcome. If you have any queries, I think I have shared my mail ID also. You can ask now, or if you want, you can do that. No problem.
One more question.
What is the tool used for this classification, sir? So I have used here RapidMiner, madam. RapidMiner tool is the, actually earlier it is completely open source, but now because of its demand, now it is licensed. But still the tool is available for free for the students and the faculty. So you can go to the RapidMiner website and download, and you can use it. It is allowed. And there are many tools apart from that. You can do it in Python. You can use R, and you can use Clementine. Now it is named as IBM PSW Modular, and we have Grid Analytics tool. There are many, and even you have SPSS statistics. We can do that.
Sir, there is one more question before that. Dr. Sridevi Sarlaya has asked, can we show the accuracy of prediction obtained using RapidMiner tool in the research papers?
Yes, madam. But see, that's what I said. what you have to do, for example, you may be proposing some algorithm, you will be getting some accuracy by your own code which is written in Python. Okay, then for the other existing methods, you can use this RapidMiner tool and you can get the accuracy, then compare it and plot the graph and then include in your research paper. You can do it. I hope you got the answer.
So Mr. Praveen Kumar has asked, can we make a model in Python and import it in RapidMiner?
Yeah, nice question by Praveen Kumar. There is a provision. Why I'm telling this RapidMiner, you may be using R, you may be very expert in Python. If you have RapidMiner, you can integrate with R as well as with the Python. So what we can do, once you integrate the Python with the RapidMiner, you can write a script here itself, in the RapidMiner itself. There is a provision. Okay, 1 minute, if you are able to see, just a minute. Are you able to see the screen? RapidMiner screen?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. See here, you can see this one. See, you can see execute Python. I hope you can able to see in the operators. Execute Python. So this operator to be added here. Okay, and then you have to see in the right hand side, the similar property window for this button is available. You click it. Here you can type. See, you can see the pandas. The Python code you can write here. Okay, but what you have to do for this, in my system already I have integrated. Already I have integrated Python here. So what you have to do, you have to, in your system, RapidMiner should be there, Python to be installed. Once you install the Python, try to locate the exe file location. Then you have to set some parameters here. So this is the preferences. In the menu bar, there is a preferences and Python scripting. So here you have to set the path of the Python. Okay, then it will be done, right? And for this, to get this Python scripting, we have to add an extension, Python extension in the RapidMiner. How to do that? Go there, manage extensions or marketplace. If you have internet, then you type Python. Are you able to see this? Yes, madam?
Yes, sir, we can see.
You can. I think you can able to see, Mr. Praveen, the Python scripting. This is the one add-on. Okay, this add-on you have to install before doing all these things. First step is you try to add on this. Just select this, select for update because it is already installed. If in your case it is not installed, select for installation, then install it. Once it is installed, then only you will get this execute Python operator. Okay, then go there and set the preferences and then you do it. So what I want to say, you can write a Python code here if you have the integration between RapidMiner and Python. Like that you can do it for R also, those who are good in R. Any other query?
If there are any other questions, participants, please post in the chat box. With this, we have come to the end of the session. Thank you, sir, for an insightful session on predictive analytics.